Thanks for joining me for the next real world mile per gallon test. This week we're testing the 2024 Buick Envista, and this is the Avenir trim. It is the cousin car of the Chevy Trax. We're supposed to average 30 miles per gallon. We're gonna test that today. I'll give you all the parameters of the test later on, but right now we're gonna take a look at this car, and then we're gonna head to the gas station. As I said, this is the Avenir trim and the sister car of the Chevy Trax. They share a platform and they share a powertrain. So it's a 1.3 liter, 3-cylinder turbo engine. This car looks great from this angle. I like the coupe kind of styling right here where it kind of curves down. Looks really good. Let's take a look at how much cargo space we've got back here. You get a powered lift gate, decent amount of space back here. So I am really kind of impressed with this, really. You have a spare tire back here, that's good. Lower it down. I really like this blue color. It's really nice. Check the back. You can see there is a decent amount of space back here. I don't think any adults would have any problem fitting back here. Looks good. You do notice the Avenir trim, you do get these leather seats, and I like this design in the seats. It looks really nice. You also get Avenir up in the headrest. You get a powered driver's seat. And then you've got this kind of dual screen look going across here that GM has started putting in all their products. And you do see the tri-badge, the new tri-badge for Buick. Couple drinks and some snacks for the drive. That is all. Okay, there's a little sneak peek of it. If you want to see more about this car, we're going to talk a little bit about it later, but there's also going to be a full review up on the channel right now that you can go watch after you watch this. We're going to head to the gas station, get filled up, and I'll give you all the parameters of the test after that. You can see that we're at the gas station now, and just gonna let you know there is no special requirements for gas on this. It does not state anything under the gas cap, so we're just gonna be putting in 87 octane just like every normal person would. If you're wondering, here in Illinois right now, we're at $494 for 91, $414 for 89, and $319 for 87. I was going to mention that this only has a 13.5 gallon tank, and you can drive almost 400 miles on it approximately, but we're going to see what kind of mileage we get out of it today. So we're going to top this off. All right, we are filled up. Took about 5 gallons. We drove this decent amount the last couple days. So, all right, let's get everything reset and we'll get the test started. There is the small little driver's display that's on this. It's actually really nice. You can see the full screen there, but you really just have this information here, which is pretty cool. You can put the trip information over here if you want to, but then it just kind of clutters everything up. Here, we're gonna reset this trip right here. I'm gonna go ahead and reset both. So we're gonna reset trip 1, reset trip 2, reset. So we should see right here, we'll show our mile per gallon, and then we'll also have a fuel economy over here. So it's kind of showing an average and the best. So that's what we'll be looking at right there. Let's go ahead and get this test started. On the way to the first town, I'm gonna give you parameters of this test, kind of just how we do this test. And then I will update you as soon as we enter town. So here are the parameters of our test, and we do this with every single vehicle we get, and they're done exactly the same way. Now, weather conditions are different. It's a little rainy today, a little windy. We've got a 15 mile an hour wind today that's going to be kind of a headwind at the beginning of the drive, and then on the way back we'll have a tailwind. So there's 3 settings involving the car. We drive in normal mode. We don't drive in sport mode. We don't drive in eco mode. We're not trying to maximize or minimize the mile per gallon. We're trying to give you what a normal, natural, everyday get in, go and drive. Just get in and drive and go. That's what we're trying to do here. So normal mode. And we keep the temperature set between 68 and 72 inside. And the last thing is that we drive 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, because that is the normal or most common speed that everyone drives over the speed limit. So that's what we're going to do. We've got 60 on the highway, 75 on the interstate, and anywhere between 35 and 50 in town. Now for the test. We're going to drive 100 miles, 50 miles in one direction, 50 miles in the exact opposite direction. We will drive through 2 towns on the way there. We'll drive loops through each one of those towns. So we hit stop signs, stop lights, a little bit of traffic, and then we will get up on the interstate, where we will drive about 10 miles, and then that should be about 50 miles, and we'll turn around, and then we'll head back. And we will drive backwards through those same two towns. We'll do them in reverse order. We will still do loops through those towns the same way, and then we'll make our way back to the gas station, where we will do our final calculations, and we will use a calculator to divide the gallons of gas that we used by how many miles we've driven. So that will give us a real world mile per gallon. I might have stated that backwards, those two numbers, but that's basically what we're going to do. We're going to do old school calculation, and that will give us that real world mile per gallon. We're going to compare that to what the car says, and then what the EPA also says. But we want you guys to have a real world expectation of what these cars can do. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's like crazy numbers. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're into our first town now, so I'm going to update you on that right now. Okay, so we've entered our first town, and as you can see, we are already into some traffic going through here. Right now, we have driven 4.8 miles, and we're at 37.8 miles per gallon. So doing great so far. We are surpassing everything, but early start. So we're going to make a loop through this town, and as we get ready to head back out onto the highway, I will update you again on where we're at. Okay, we are back out on the highway after making a loop through town. So our numbers are 8.3 miles and 33.5 miles per gallon. So it's doing a great job so far, but we did see that drop driving around through town. We are heading to our next town, and while we are doing that, I will give you guys some more information about this Buick Envista Avenir. I mentioned earlier that this is kind of the cousin of the Chevy Trax, and the reason I say cousin instead of like sister cars, what some people would say, is because the body shape is completely different than the Trax. It is a little bit of a step up from the body style of the Chevy Trax. The Chevy Trax kind of looks like a urban driving, maybe could go off-road a little bit. You could drive it off into a ditch or something, I guess, without any problems. But this is more sophisticated. It looks more sophisticated. It looks a lot nicer design on the outside. And that's what Buick is. Buick is kind of a little bit of a step up from your base Chevy vehicles. So this is really, really nice. They do share a powertrain. They do share a platform. But those are the only two things that are similar to or are the same as this and the Chevy Trax. They target two complete different demographics also. So this is a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder turbo engine, gives you 136 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, which is actually pretty good. It does a good enough job getting up and getting moving. You're not going to break any speed records with this, and you're not going to be drag racing this, but it is sufficient for what it needs to be. And producing that 30 mile per gallon average, so you're looking at 28 in the city and 32 out on the highway, that is really, really good. There's a possibility of stretching that mile per gallon. Probably could have got it a little bit better, because this has a 6-speed automatic transmission. They probably could have gotten a little bit more if maybe they went up to the 8-speed transmission. That might have gotten them a couple more miles per gallon out of this thing, but it is great for what it is. It is front-wheel drive only. You cannot get an all-wheel drive option in this. It's the same as the Chevy Trax. You saw the cargo space was a decent amount. It's about 20 or so cubic feet back there. You put the seats down, you're going to be popping up to maybe around 42 cubic feet there. And I want to give you some information about some of the standard features that's on every Envista, not just this Avenir trim. So what you get on every single Envista is an 8-inch driver's display, an 11-inch infotainment screen. You also get automatic high beams, emergency braking. You also get lane keep assist and lane departure warning. So the lane keep assist is going to help keep you in the lane, and the lane departure warning is going to tell you when you drive out of the lane, because you kind of forced it out of the lane. But other than that, those are standard features, and that is really good on those. I like the interior, I like the design, and I like the material on the dash. The seats so far have been pretty comfortable, and they are real leather. The only couple things that I have noticed that I wasn't a big fan of is this armrest here on the door. There's not much padding there at all. Very little padding. So long drives, you got your elbow on here holding the steering wheel. It might cause a little bit of pain in your elbow after a while. So let's talk about the pricing on this, because even at this highest trim, it is one heck of a deal. The base preferred is going to start out at $23,495. That's, under $25,000 for a new car and a Buick. Okay, so we're going to step up to the next trim level, which is going to be your Sport Touring. It is going to start out at $25,195. So just over $25,000, and you get a few little extras in here. So really only a couple $1,000, and you get to add a few options on here. You'll have to look online to see what all those changes are, but I mean, that's pretty good. And then if you go up to the Avenir trim, which is what this one is, you're going to start out at $29,695. Under $30,000 for their top trim. Brand new car, under $30,000. That is awesome pricing. They did a great job with this. And this one, as tested with the options that they added on here, which really wasn't much. I think it was just the carpeted mats. That's the only thing they added on here. And we're at $30,790. So just under $31,000, and that's what this one is right here. Now there are options that you can add on to that might push this to between $32,000 to $35,000, but still, that's the highest you're gonna probably get, and that's just kind of adding some more driver functions, maybe, and maybe a sunroof, a few little things like that. Because this trim, Avenir trim, does not come with lane centering or Super Cruise or anything like that. So you do have adaptive cruise, and like I said, lane keep assist and lane departure warning, but no lane centering. So that might be an option that you could add on onto this package. But that's it. I mean, this is an incredible deal for a very, very good sound car. There was only a couple things that I noticed that the Avenir trim got. There was more things, but two big things were you go up to 19-inch wheels on here, and you get an 8-way powered driver's seat, which I think those are both optional on other trims. Okay, we are getting ready to come into our next town, so I am going to update you on where we're at before we make our loop through there. We're coming into our second town. So far, We are now at 28.9 miles, 34.4 miles per gallon. So we are above what the highway rating is. So it's doing really well. I would expect to see this drop just a little bit as we do this loop through town, but as soon as we get done with that, I will update you where we're at before we get up on the interstate. Okay, we've made our loop through town. We are heading up onto the interstate here in just a second. So we're going to update you real quick. We're at 36.2 miles and 33.4 miles per gallon. You guys have probably noticed that this is off a little bit different than what we're seeing here, and I'll explain that here as soon as we get to the top of the interstate, because there's a reason that it is different. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different. So we're going to get up on the interstate right here. There is some construction up here, but unlike other tests where they try to make sure that everything is perfect and all that, we don't do that here because this is real world. This is stuff that happens. We drive through construction. We do all of this stuff. So that's why we are going this direction. Okay, here we go. We're going to accelerate. We now are 37.5 miles, 33 miles per gallon. Now the reason that this one is off from this is set to adjust for the last 25 miles. So every time it registers a new 25 miles, then that's what it reads. So it's not based off of the trip information. So that's why that one looks a little bit different. You'll see it jumping around different numbers. Sometimes it'll be really close, then other times it's off. So, all right. We're going to take this interstate about 10 miles or so. It'll be a turnaround point. I will update you where we're at when we get there. Okay, as I said, we were going to be driving through some construction. They're not working today, so we're driving a little bit faster than what we normally would, but we're getting ready to get off the interstate now. So far, look at that, right at 50 miles and 32.6 miles per gallon. So doing really good, averaging right just above the highway mileage. So here is our little outlet out of the construction. And pretty much we just go up here and we're going to turn straight back around and come back down the other side. Usually there's not a lot of traffic here, and we don't usually have too much problem just coming up here and going. So it's usually a pretty quick turnaround. All right, got a couple cars going through, and yep, that's pretty much it. We can go right on up over here and go right back down the other side. We will accelerate going onto the interstate so you guys can kind of hear this 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine and all its mighty power. All right, go on around here. I don't think there's any more construction after on this side. I think it ended earlier than this on-ramp here. Looks like it, yep. So here we go. Yeah, you may not even have been able to hear that because it was raining and it's fairly quiet in here. It's not too bad. Okay, so after that turnaround, we're now 51.5 miles and 32.1 miles, well, 32 miles per gallon. So we're going to take this little trip on the interstate, and when we get ready to get off and go back into town, I will update you on where we're at. We're coming up on our exit off the interstate. And right now, our numbers are 63.9 miles, 31.2 miles per gallon. So we were driving into the wind a little bit, so we did lose some. And we're going to get off the interstate right here, and then we're going to be heading back into town. And this town, we will make the loop through. It'll be in reverse of how we did it the first time, but I will update you again after we get done making this loop. All right, well, we're out of town now and we're back out onto the highway. So far, we're at 76.2 miles, 31.6 miles per gallon. We were down to 31.3 at one time, so we're riding right in between the EPA average and the EPA highway mileage. So this car is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and numbers are coming out really well. So I'm going to guess we're probably going to come in right around 31, but we'll have to see how that ends up later. We're going to be coming into our next town. When we do, I will update you. We are entering our next town. So far, we are at 93.2 miles, 33.1 miles per gallon. So now we're back up above the highway mile per gallon. So we'll probably expect to see that drop just a little bit driving around town, and then we'll be back out onto the highway, headed to the gas station. We made our loop through town. We're back out on the highway, headed to the gas station. So far, we are at 97.2 miles and 33 miles per gallon. So, yeah, it looks like that might be closer to what we were settling in. I was thinking 31 earlier, but yeah, 33 looks like it may be the number. But we'll check again as soon as we get to the gas station. I'll tell you what the final numbers on the car are. We'll get filled up and then we'll get the calculator out and find out what the real world mile per gallon is. Okay, we are arriving at the gas station. And it looks like we can get the same pump we used before because that's what we prefer to do. All right, we'll pull right in here. Okay, in park. So final numbers: 101.1 miles, 33.2 miles per gallon according to the car. We will get out the calculator and we will check those numbers to see how close they are. Okay, we're going to get filled up, and like we talked about earlier, there's no special requirements, so we will be putting in 87 octane again. There we go. All right, we are running. Okay, there you have it. 3.141 is what we've got. I always hate the glare on these things, but that's what we got. We do also have our receipt so we can check all the numbers. Okay, let's get in. Let's run numbers. Let's see how accurate this car is. Let's run the numbers. So we've got 101.1 miles, and we're going to divide that by the gallons that we put in, which was 3.14. 3.14 equals 32.19 is what we got for real world, and the car said 33.2. So it's about 1 mile per gallon higher than what you're going to average. So maybe you could just try to remember that. Did great on this trip. So really, the car is fairly accurate, I would say, but you're going to get better than what the EPA says. So the 2024 Buick Envista real world mile per gallon average is 32.1 miles per gallon. If you haven't subscribed, go down and hit the subscribe button. It helps me get more cars like this to bring these tests to you. And then click on one of the videos that's up on the screen. One is a review of this Buick Envista, and the other one YouTube thinks that you might like. I think you're going to like them both, so I will see you in that next video.